Please give a warm welcome to the stage, Dave Weiss.
Thank you, everybody. So today's talk is about how to talk to your friends, family, those asking questions, and they say there's no stupid questions. Well, mostly all the questions are stupid, and they're easy to answer. So here we go. I'm gonna go fast, so you're gonna have to pay attention, no talking, and here we go. So the analemma and the fake news. So, for those of you who don't know what the analemma is, the sun goes around out here every 24 hours in December, but in June it has to go slower because it makes a smaller circle in here. So we'll switch this to June, and it makes a smaller circle. If you take a picture of the sun in the sky every day at the same time throughout the year, you'll get the analemma. And this is an analemma. It used to be on all the globes. Now you can tell this analemma on the right is taken in the north because the smaller loop is on the top. So this isn't lower, it's just farther. So as the sun moves south for the winter, it's lower, and that's how the analemma works. This guy took a picture every day of the sun about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon every day for 3 years, and he showed the analemma, again, taken in the north because the small loop is up top and the big loop is on the bottom. And this shows you the path of the sun. So late in the day, in December, the sun is down here, right? And at the same time, in the summer, the sun is higher in the sky. Now these lines here, he also took pictures like every 15, 20 minutes through the same day. So at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, the sun is here, and it takes this long to set. But in the winter, it's already way down here. That's why it gets dark earlier, because the sun is just farther away, and it goes into the horizon. Globers like making empty claims. I call it empty claims. They say things with authority like it's real. So, for example, IFL Science came out with flat earthers proved wrong by using a security camera in a garage. And this guy filmed the corner of his garage, the shadow, every day for a year, missed a couple days, and you can see the analemma. How does this prove the globe? It proves the flat earth. But they just say it, people don't understand what the analemma is, and then they just believe it. So again, they say the opposite of the truth. People that don't think critically don't see it. Here's another one, a little clip. I'm sorry to make you hear this guy's voice, but listen.
We can have a curved Earth with a sun that's big and far away, so that all the light comes in parallel, but only one well at a time is lit all the way to the bottom. Turns out with just 2 wells, there's enough wiggle room for both explanations to fit our observations. Eratosthenes only had 2 wells, but what if he added a third? With a third well, it doesn't matter where the sun is. No flat Earth model can explain the angles of all 3 shadows.
He shows the shadow correct. I mean, this is just a drawing, but again, Eratosthenes didn't even use wells. He uses sticks and well, and there's all that story is just a story. It keeps changing. But again, he said it like there is no proof. It actually works perfectly on a flat Earth, probably better than a ball Earth. If the sun was an 85-foot sphere, it would be 2 miles away from a basketball. They want us to believe that seasons are because if I tilt that basketball a little bit, the top half will be warmer than the bottom half, right? That little bit. So here's a globe, right? And here I am in Mexico. It's 90 degrees. This was in February last year. It's 90 degrees. At the same time, in the Northeast in Connecticut, it was -10, 100-degree difference. The difference in distance to the sun was 0.00003%, right? And so that distance, now you think about it, well, the tilt, well, the spin is tilt also, because the sun is tilting all day long, from nothing to as high as it gets to nothing again. So that makes no sense, but if we look at it on a flat Earth, here's the same day, we're going to bring the sun to about 2:30 in the afternoon, and we're going to look at the difference between that place in Mexico and the Northeast. Here we go. And if we look, the green line is almost twice as long as the yellow line. So the sun on that day was twice as far from Connecticut, not 0.00003%, 100% different. So that's That explains seasons and temperature differences throughout the world. On the app, in the frequently asked questions page, there's tons of information on seasons. So if somebody says seasons prove the globe, just open up that, send them some videos, send them the whole playlist, and let them look. So prove there's a dome on your flat Earth. That's what they say. Prove there's a dome. I don't know if there's a dome, but it sure seems like it. You know, if the sky is a vacuum like they claim, there needs to be a dome, but I don't think the sky is a vacuum. So their claim is that gravity holds the air down. Gravity holds the air down. Cool story, right? And you ask them, which is the gravity? Is it Einsteinian or Newtonian? And usually they get a blank stare because they don't know what either is. But you know, the Einsteinian gravity is the bending and warping of your mind. It's not the bending and warping of space-time. The reason that you don't know what the bending and warping of space-time is because it's stupid. It doesn't mean anything. So this is an important one. So we got these balloons, we put a little air in them, we put them in a Ziploc bag, a shrink wrap bag, put them in a vacuum chamber, and the air, they'll just expand and expand and expand. Now Mark Sargent from Strange World, he has a standing offer to get 2 moon suits, get him and an astronaut, and put them in a vacuum chamber. But we don't want that to happen, because if that happens, they'll die, and it will be a shame to lose an astronaut. Now look at this. This is just a green screen, the guy standing up, they're in the same orientation. If this was space, they would look like that. It would actually be worse, they would explode. There's no way them in their snowboarding suits would survive in space. Here we have nitrogen and we have a vacuum, a little tiny vacuum of no air. And when we open up that valve, the nitrogen, which is heavier than the air, will go instantly up and away from gravity. So where was gravity holding that down? Now if we look, here I've simulated a vacuum chamber, and if we take away the chamber, instantly the air just disappears, gone, absolutely gone. So this is the pale blue dot. Carl Sagan said, look, Earth from the Voyager, from, a zillion miles away. Well, that little dot has air around it. This is all a giant vacuum. Air's gone, we're all dead. It makes no sense. It's all you need to know that their space vacuum is ridiculous. So the question is, how much air do you need for it to collapse? How much helium and hydrogen do you need that it won't expand, that it'll have enough gravity? There you go, that's the answer. You need a lot. You need a lot. Here, this is called the Franklin bell. We got a drone up with a wire connected to the red, the yellow one's connected to the ground, and the little metal the little metal cap in the middle is just going back and forth and changing the charge. So it's being pulled either way. It's being pulled back and forth. Now imagine turning that sideways. The ground has that negative charge, there's energy coming down, and that's what determines which way down is. Down is the electrostatic flow from above. So, again, tons of information in the gravity section, so when people start throwing gravity at you, you can send them some information from there. Where does the sun go, and why doesn't it shrink to a dot? Well, that's a good question, but it's not really a good question. Here is, we're in an airplane, we're looking down at these clouds, and those clouds look flat, but you notice how they're ramping up? Like the ground ramps up? Well, it's because we're above them. If we were below them, they would ramp down and into the horizon. So here's my crappy graphics warning. We have clouds above them, let's say they're 10,000 feet, but the clouds in the distance, they merge right in with the horizon. So this guy's looking up, and if you look at his trajectory, he's seeing the edge of that cloud. That's another horizon for him. That's another horizon for him. Right? So now if we look at it prospectively, those clouds are getting lower and lower in the distance. As the sun moves away, disappears from the bottom up behind each one of those clouds. It disappears behind that, and it goes beyond them. So let's look a little tighter. So here we have these clouds. We'll push them to, let's say, 20 miles away. Over here? No, there we go. So if we push them 20 miles away, they literally start merging with the ground, and you can't tell the difference between those 10,000 foot high clouds and the ground. So that to you looks like the horizon, and the sun just goes beyond them, just goes beyond. So that guy looking at those clouds 20 miles away, he thinks he's looking straight across the water, level with the earth. But in reality, he's looking at something 10,000 feet or even higher. So if that's his horizon, as the sun goes by it, it disappears from the bottom up. But his point of view sees it lower. He sees it lower. Now, I got this cloud here, the arrow's pointing to the cloud at 20 miles away. That's what it would look like 20 miles away. Right? And over here I have a rocket taking off. Now, when will he see that rocket? Will he see it there? No. There? No. There? No. There. That's when he sees it. But that's not from him, that's just coming up from the horizon. So this cloud here is 10,000 feet. This is another 100 miles, whatever. How high is this? This is way up there. So he wouldn't see that rocket emerge. He wouldn't see it emerge from that until, whoops, I went the wrong way. Let's skip through it real quick, sorry about that. He wouldn't see it until it rises above that rocket, above that line. In reality, he sees it coming up from the horizon there, however much time it took to get to that height. So that's why Globers will say, I didn't see the rocket for a minute until after the launch. That's because this little space here, which you can't determine from the ground, is 20, 30, 50, 100,000 feet, depends on how far it is. And that rocket doesn't come up above it until it gets up to that height, but that's not how he sees. So again, we have to look. That's how you would see it from the side, but he sees it coming up from the ground. All right, if the Earth was flat, the sun would shrink to a dot. Let's watch this.
Okay, now check this out. Here we have two lighted balls representing the sun or moon. One of them is close and large, and the other is far and small due to perspective. Now you will notice that the two balls are at eye level, and as we drag one away, it reduces in size quickly, and matches the farther one when it gets there. This is just due to simple eye-level perspective. Now we are going to raise the camera straight up, not getting any closer to the far ball, and you will see that both balls have reduced in size and look fairly close to the same size. As we move the closer ball away again, you will notice how it does not shrink much due to perspective. The phenomenon you're witnessing is called foreshortening in art. Or, more technically, it's an effect of angular perspective compression, or diminution of apparent size. So the next time the globetard says, if the Earth was flat, the sun would shrink as it moves away, you can ask them if they know what foreshortening, or angular perspective compression is, and flat smack that smug know-it-all look right off their face.
So, with that said, as the sun goes away, it does shrink a little bit, but the percentage is tiny. And then when you're looking at something through all of the atmosphere, depending on the amount of moisture, it will also magnify. So as it shrinks, it's also being magnified. It's a perfect little God-made yin-yang that is it's just very balanced. But Angels of Light here made this little video where he has filmed.
Here I have two different time lapses of the sun, where I have zoomed in all the way in on the sun so you can see the sunspots. The sun is properly exposed, and two times I got a change in size. So Globers, I'm not even going to say now, but yeah, the sun changes size. I'm sorry. And you know, it's not my fault. It's not my fault that the sun is local and it changes size. It really isn't. I mean, you can say refraction all you want, but first your argument is it doesn't change size. Then we go and prove it does change size, and then you're saying refraction, well, that's an automatic win. You can see at that point that you were wrong and it does change size. So, welcome to Flat Earth.
So, whenever we trap a globe, like the sun never shrinks, we show them it shrinks, they go, well, then it's refraction, or whenever you capture them, they just change their mind because they're doubling down on their position. So when something goes away from you, from the sides it moves to the center, the bottom it moves up, and the top it moves down. That's just perspective. Some of us were taught that in art class. So right now, here is a sun, and it kind of looks like it's setting. I'm a little zoomed in, but if you watch it, it looks like it's going down, but you know, if you're a flat earther, it's just going away. But in reality, it's not doing either. I'll show you in a second. Now look, it's going beyond this horizon. You see this part that's around, that's going over it? Now, that's not photoshopping, that's not layering. That's because the outside of the sun is glare. You're just seeing glare. Right? The sun is very, very small. If I put a solar filter on that, it would be small right in here. This is all just in our eye. This isn't in reality. This is how our eye sees that bright light. That's how it can go in front of something that's in front of the sun. And a lot of people get confused by that. But if we watch, this is the same thing. I just turned the other one sideways. I was just moving with this metal post. And I moved it so the sun went by it, and I turned it, just showing you that perspective, side, up, down, it doesn't matter. That's why the sun looks like it's going down. And again, that is a solid metal post, and that glare is coming in our eye. So, there you go, that's the sun. So sunsets over flat Earth. Now, if you're a glober, you see that. Look, the sun's going below the horizon, but I'm going to start this video, and I'm going to have my drone, it's going to go up. And as we go up, all of a sudden you can see the sun above the horizon because we have a better angle of view. So now it's going down. Now this is an atmospheric horizon, and that's the actual horizon. If you look carefully, you'll see that the Earth horizon, it'll get a little clearer, but the sun is just going by what I call the atmospheric level, the atmospheric deck of opacity, just like it sounds. It's where the atmosphere is opaque. I pasted these clouds in here, and the sun is going beyond them. It's going beyond this cloud, and this cloud merges with the ground from your perspective. It looks like it's at your eye level, and that's how the sun goes beyond the horizon. Down here, that's the actual site. You can see the horizon's really down here below that sunset. But we don't see it. The sun is just going beyond. Like if this was up in the sky and I had this cloud here, it's going beyond, but we see it from our distance at the horizon, and it just goes beyond. But if you don't understand that, you can only see it going below the ball. So here in my hallway, I created I have a pillow deck, so these would be clouds, and I have on a light on a little tripod, and I drag it away. Now here's a zoomed in version, and here's an actual sunset. Let's take a look at how similar the bottom one and the one on the right look. So as the sun goes away, it's light, we can't see it anymore, but the glare is still lighting up the ground. This looks the same as this. So is it the same, or is it something crazy different? It looks exactly the same. Here is a series of sun fade outs I did, filmed on a super cold day with my drone. Now the sun went down, 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 and it stopped. Now my friends are at the beach over here, and it's dark. It's already dark. They lost the sun, but I can still see the sun. It's going away, and it's a super clear day, and then the sun just disappears into the thickness, the soup of the atmosphere. Light doesn't travel for billions of miles and trillions of miles and billions of years. It goes a very short distance. The light just fades out. It just fades out. It attenuates into the atmosphere. You can't see forever. When it's foggy, you can barely see across the street. Again, the sun was going down, 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 and then it stopped. I don't care if it's blurry, I don't care if there's no solar filter, it stopped going down. That proves that the Earth is not spinning. Oops, there was one from an airplane, same thing, I just missed it. You can even see it on an airplane. Here is sun shrinking to a dot. Now, again, where's the solar filter? If you put a solar filter on, you'd lose the sun even farther. But the truth is, the horizon is down here. But where's the sun going? It's literally just going into the atmospheric deck of opacity. The horizon is down here, and the sun is setting well above the horizon. Here is a sun fade-in. Keep an eye right here. So you see we have our horizon here. Whoops. We have a horizon here, but the sun comes in here. Now, the bottom half is just glare. The sun, the horizon that's coming from behind is just here. It's just showing up on the horizon. And when you see the sun rising in the morning, it's the most distorted because when you're looking across, you're looking through all of the thickest atmosphere, and that causes the most distortion. When it goes up, it gets much more round and clear because you're looking through a lot less atmosphere throughout the day. So here is just this is the moon going away. Is this cameraman falling over backwards? Or is the moon just moving away? Here it is in reverse. It's just going away. This is the moon. This is in Alaska. Again, you have to imagine that cameraman is falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound, or the moon is just slowly moving away as you see it. Now, I believe that we see in a personal atmospheric dome, it's more than just a belief, it's a truth. Because if you're standing in the middle of a field in fog, you can only see a certain distance in all directions, and you can consider that your atmospheric dome, right? You can see farther up in normal weather than you can sideways, because the air is thicker sideways. So I created this atmospheric dome where it's taller than it is wide, right? And so as the sun moves across, we see it in its apparent position. Again, this is an orthographic view. This guy will see this sun much lower, and then it'll disappear just as I was showing you. So here I have a glass dome, and so imagine you're in the dome. That's your personal atmospheric dome. And first I'm just showing you how the sun is super distorted, and then it kind of gets a little clearer. So here we are in the dome, and here comes the sun. Now, this is the apparent sun, and this flashlight right here is the source sun. So if you're in here, this guy is seeing, he's got dawn, here's the light, and all of a sudden the sun just starts appearing right here. I'll do a zoom in a second. Right, the sun just appears just like we see it appear. So he's standing there, the sun just kind of manifests on the horizon, and it's going to come up from beyond that atmospheric deck of opacity. And then the sun will move across. Here it is, it shows up, it moves across, parent sun, actual sun, and then it'll set. And now it's still twilight here, but the sun is just going away, taking its light. It'll go a little bit farther, and now it's nighttime, comes around again. So here we go, we got just perspective of clouds. And if we look into the distance, you know, the atmosphere gets thicker and thicker and thicker, the light attenuates, that's where we get the colors from, the different gases. Here we have, I got these stars up here, and if the sun came in, and it was going away, it disappears from the bottom up, it reappears again, disappears from the bottom up, reappears again. There's another line, I want to press the wrong button, of clouds right here. And that merges with the horizon, and the sun is just going beyond it. It's just going beyond it. It's not going below anything, it's just going beyond. Where does the sun go? Great section in the app. When people ask you questions, send them videos, send them the whole playlist. How do time zones work? People are like, well, time zones work on a flat Earth because they've been taught about the spinning orange, you know, wall, or completely messed up. There's 24 in the middle, there's 18 in the middle, 24 in the tropics, and 32 in the south, which makes no sense. So here's an orthographic view. Nobody ever sees like this. We have, these are different, we'll call them sun positions, but this is how you experience them. So if I move all the ones in the middle, let's say I'm in the east, Central, Mountain, Pacific, the sun is just farther away, and it just goes beyond our ability to see. After a couple time zones, we wouldn't even be able to see the sun, and that's exactly how the sun works. Again, time zones on the bottom row in the app, you can find it there. Also on the app, if you go to the images section and just type in time zones, there's some great memes that you can share with people to help them understand. If the Earth is flat, then why do we see different stars in the north and in the south? That's a very common one. So here we have the street lights going into the distance, and they kind of merge into the level ground road, and you really can't see them. If you look at the time lapse of the sun down here, the sun's going away, atmospheric deck of opacity, the sun disappears. This is actually mountains that are higher than your eye level. The sun will go beyond them before it completely gets obscured by the atmosphere. So you have two different horizons. You got a physical horizon and an atmospheric horizon merging together. So if I threw this truck in here, you can't see the second half of those streetlights. They're hidden. They're beyond the truck. Now if I move the truck down and away, I can do one more. Whoops, not too far. Let's go real quick. So, come on. 1, 2, 3. So if I push that a little farther, that truck is just going to merge into the horizon. You're not going to be able to see what it is. We'll just pretend that's the cloud deck or mountains or whatever. And if somebody was equally as far on the other side of that truck, they would see completely different lights in the sky. It's very simple. It works perfectly on a flat Earth. I can see the curve. They love saying they can see the curve, right? We look out here and I can kind of see the curve, you know, the left to right curve. But you would never see left-right curvature even if the Earth was a globe, because if you're looking out at the water and you see the horizon there, and you see an expanse, let's say 200-mile expanse, whatever, you're not going to see a curve like this, because if you did, you'd have to follow that curve around, and when you got over here, you'd be pointing at the ground when the horizon's really out there. So you see a circle around you, right? So here's a guy looking out. I'll draw that red line. It's horizon. I'll take the picture away. Overhead view. This is the distance to the horizon right there. That's as far as he can see. His eyes will allow him to see. But these lines are longer, so he can't see that far. He can only see that far. So we see in a circle, no matter what height we are, no matter how tall we are, whatever, we see in a circle, and Globers take that and say, that's Earth curve. No, that's vision curve. If you put your head in the middle of a hula hoop, that's your horizon. This is courtesy of Angels of Light. His hallway versus the ocean. So again, the big boat is farther away, but why is it higher? Why is the water ramping up when it should ramp down and away? Down and away. So you ask the Glober, is the water ramping up or going down the way? They'll say yes. And then say, well, is this hallway level? And they'll be like, yes. Right? So the hallway's level, and then we'll merge them together and say they're exactly the same, and they'll go, well, the scale's not right. It's not scale. It's scales. Any size. It doesn't matter. The perspective is exactly the same. And if I take the boats, put them back on the water, remove the water, bring the hallway in, it's the exact same perspective. Is it just another coincidence? There's so many coincidences that, you know, happen on the globe. It's unbelievable. Then I took a sunset, random time lapse of sunset, and I just overlaid it, and it coincidentally, again, is following the exact same pathway. And again, it goes into the horizon. It goes into the horizon. Here's another one. It goes into the horizon, following the same perspective. So they've hijacked perspective. They hijacked the visual limits that we have, and they call it Earth curvature to have their little religion. So here we are, again, a flat floor. We know this is flat from our experience of having wood floors. And all my little Jesuses here, they're all higher. The next one's higher. So the bottom ramps up on a flat Earth. Here I have them on a ball, and if you look, the guy in the background, he's cut off, right? The bottom half, he's cut off. Well, a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old can understand, you know, things would disappear from the bottom up over a ball. It doesn't mean we're on a ball. It just means that things disappear from the bottom up on a ball. So this guy back here, we can't see the bottom half. But if we look into the distance on the water is ramping up. It's not going down and away, and it just keeps on going and going and going, which, you know, reality doesn't match a ball. Here we go. So if I duck behind a hill, can you see me? This is from, I stole this from Angels, that if you duck behind a hill, so here we are, we can't see each other. Now what type of weather front would need to come in for Angel to pop up over the hill so I can see him? The answer is, if you don't have line of sight to something, there is no refraction. You know, refraction could squish things, it could obscure things, it could make things rise up. I'll give you anything you want, but if it's not in your line of sight and there's something physical in between you and it, there is no refraction because there's nothing to refract. Do boats disappear over the curve, right? You ask a Glober, do they disappear over the curve? They say yes, but then you show them a video like this. Hey, there's no boat on the horizon. We zoom in, and then all of a sudden, we can see a boat. Hey, look, there's a boat. And they go, whoa, it's not far enough. It wasn't over the curve. It's like, okay, I thought you said it disappears over the curve, but now it's not far enough, right? So I'll give them that one. We don't know how far that boat is, but reality, we know that it's farther than we should be able to see it, but we don't have perfect evidence. So we're gonna take a look at a short video in a second. Is this boat over the curve? No. This one over the curve? No. Is this one over the curve? Yes. Things do disappear over a curve on a ball, but we don't live on a ball. And here's the proof. Because of the known dimensions of the ball, we know how far that horizon needs to be. It's required to be no farther than, it could be less due to weather, waves, fog, whatever. But take a look at this. This is one of the most important observations, this type of observation. Take a look.
We use that distance of 6.08 miles, platform C. And then the second one off the distance platform habitat at 10.1 miles. Why are these two important? Well, because at 8-foot elevation, below Earth's horizon should be less than 3.5 miles, meaning the horizon should be in front of these things. 29 feet of habitat should be blocked by the curvature in front of these objects. And yet, all the habitat is visible, even with some compression. And you'll notice, and we'll draw a line here in a second, that the horizon is clearly behind these objects. And what makes this footage and all footage like it so important is that these are static objects, meaning these are not boats. These are always in one place. They're not moving or floating anywhere. And we'll draw the green line on this, and you can see, it's not hard to see. Somewhere way off in the distance is the horizon, way further than 10.1 miles. And that should not be, there's no curvature. And that only happens on a flat world. You will not see this on a curved thing, because eventually these objects should be over the side of the hill. They should be behind the curve. And we just don't see that. These two oil platforms, again, one at 6 and one at 10, are right in front. So tell me optically how that happens. Tell me what atmospheric condition can put the horizon behind these objects. You want to say it's a mirage? Okay, well if you do that, you can never say that a boat is being chopped in half by the horizon. Because you say, well no, that's real. A boat being chopped in half by the horizon line, with heavy compression and refraction. Oh no, that's real. This right here, sunrise, couldn't be clear conditions. It's not a cloud in the sky. Shooting off at oil platforms at 6 miles and 10 miles respectively, you can't tell me that this is mirage. No way. And even if you do say it's mirage, tell me how mirage puts the horizon behind the objects. That's the big key here. Do this with any sort of piece of paper, bend it in half, then put 2 dots on the other side. Tell me how the horizon is behind those dots. If it's a globe, it cannot be. So again, share this with your friends, show people, look, this is one of the globe killers, but it's going to take people a little while to understand it, which is what you're looking at here is objects that are in front of the horizon, which is clearly a long way behind it, but these objects can't be if it's a globe Earth. Cannot be. The horizon has to be in front of these objects. The curve calculator, which mainstream science declared, that's pretty straightforward. So tell me how that happens. Anyway, share it, guys.
So the globe people will say, well, the Earth is so big, you can't see, 10 miles isn't far enough. Their globe requires there to be 66 feet and 10 miles. Now they'll also look at that picture and say, oh, look at the deck is warping, look at those beams, they're warped. Yeah, it's warped because we have line of sight. It's getting distorted through the atmosphere. But if it was behind a 60-foot brick wall, it wouldn't warp at all because you wouldn't see it. This is the LoRa transmission line of sight. From a ship to a buoy, it went over 800 miles. It couldn't go 10 miles if the Earth was curved. That's 800 miles, that's 426,000 feet. I think that's 85 miles of curvature. Right? Line of sight transmission, then the globes will come out of it. It's bouncing off the ionosphere. It's nonsense. It's a straight line. The 52 miles away, this is Chicago, and they say, oh, it's a mirage. Well, we had Rob Skiba and Rick Hummer got on a boat on a day they can see it and went across the lake 50 miles, kept it in their camera the whole time. Not a mirage. This is a 18-hour time lapse where the weather is changing all day. And the buildings don't move. They're here. They're not changing. They're not refracting up. They're not refracting down. The buildings are right here. They're not going anywhere. and that's 52 miles. This is across Lake Michigan, Milwaukee, 80 miles away. So if you had the observer's 20 feet high, that's 3,700 feet of hidden curvature. If the World Trade Towers were stacked 3 high, you wouldn't see them. But we can see these lights, the city lights right here. If they're behind a hill, you would not see them. Earth is flat, right? Lake Pontchartrain Causeway, you know, this picture. Now, if you actually got a ball and lined it up with this curvature, this is like a fifth or a sixth of the Earth. Lake Pontchartrain goes like a sixth of the way around the Earth. Absolutely not. This is the one picture they like to cherry pick, but they don't like to look at a picture like this, right? Now the reason I'm showing you this is because my lunch break, who looks into the old world, he actually got the blueprints, the original blueprints from this, 23.8 miles, and then the 2 sets of blueprints from 1954 to 1968. There's no mention of curvature anywhere in them, except you got a third document, a single page, and it's dated 2017, and it talks about how the shorter the spans, the less curvature there is. Why would you add a paper in 2017 when the thing has been up for all of those years? So again, they're desperate to hide up the little mistakes that they have, and they're trying to destroy everything that proves the Earth is flat, and there's plenty. We Can See Too Far, you can find information on that in there, and again, another great place. What about eclipses? Well, if you understand eclipses, they prove the Earth is not a globe. Here's from Angels again. He had a IR camera and a regular camera filming the lunar eclipse, and the infrared camera got rid of the shadow. I didn't know infrared got rid of shadows and made things in the dark appear. So he's showing that something else is going on. What is it? Well, we can discuss that all day. The world record eclipse, and some of you, if you haven't seen this, this is, to me, another globe killer. The longest solar eclipses, that's when the moon allegedly goes in front of the sun, they're all in the north. Well, let's take a look at this.
Did you know that all of the longest solar eclipses all occurred north of the equator? Now, isn't that a curious fact? Let's take a look at what is the cause of that. On a flat Earth with a circling sun, the sun would have to travel faster when in the southern hemisphere to cover more distance every 24 hours to complete its full circle. Now let's take a look at 2 solar eclipses happening, one with the sun in the north and the other in the south. Notice the northern eclipse starts first. As the eclipses continue, you will see the southern eclipse ends before the northern one. All of the longest solar eclipses happen in the north because the Earth is flat.
So you think about that. They all happen in the north, the longest ones. The southern ones started after the northern one started and ended before. Now, show me an excuse on the globe for that. There isn't one. So here we have a ball putting a shadow on another ball, and we put it right in the middle. It's not a curved line, it's a straight line. So when you use a ball to cast a shadow on another ball, you know, Bill Nye goes, only a ball can cast a circle, you know, the Earth isn't flat. Right? Here's a ball on a flat plate. Now, I'm not saying the moon is a flat plate, but a ball on a flat plate makes a curve, a ball on a ball makes a straight line. So again, that argument is just an argument of nonsense that isn't even true. And when we look at an eclipse, when it's right in the middle, we have this curved line, and it matches a flat disk. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm ruling out that a ball is casting a curved line on another ball. Doesn't work. So here is a solar eclipse. It's about 90-some-odd% eclipsed, and if you look right here, this is what the eclipse really looks like, but this is the sun. But it's blowing out the lens, so it's hard to see. This is the lens flare. All right? So we can see that this body here is locked in position. This is moving around because it's just a lens flare. So what is this? And I say that is the source sun. Some of you have seen this, but it's good to be able to explain it to other people. So here I have a projection onto a paper towel. I have a light source behind the towel. I'm eclipsing that circular light source with a round bottle cap. And on the right, we have an actual eclipse. They kind of look the same. No one has ever seen the moon, or whatever it is eclipsing the sun, approach, eclipse, or exit the face of the sun. No one's ever seen it with an infrared camera. No one's ever seen it from the International Fake Station. No one's ever seen it, all right? So here's my setup. I got my bottle cap right here. I got my source sun, projection into the sun that we see, into our atmospheric dome. We're on this side of it. And so here's the eclipse. You don't see the bottle cap. You just see missing sun. And here it is, moving the cap. You don't see the cap, you just see missing sun. So here it is behind a thinner sky, tissue paper sky, and it comes in. Here's the source sun behind it. Here's the sun that we see. And when we compare it to the actual eclipse, to me, it looks exactly the same. Actual sun that we see, this is the model eclipse sun. This is the source sun, and again, the source sun. Again, find a better explanation of how the solar eclipse happens, and I'll gladly say I was wrong. But no one's done it yet. Now, I was screwing around with the dome here. Joe Hanvey inspired me, and I'm looking up. So we're looking up through the bottom of a dome, and I'm using a lit styrofoam ball, and I'm bringing it around, and what I noticed is there's this dark spot, right, this circle here. It's kind of weird. So, if this was the moonlight, again, the moonlight isn't a physical thing, it comes in, when we're watching a total blood moon eclipse, just when it goes to a sliver, the whole moon gets covered in the red glow for a long time, and then all of a sudden, you get a sliver again, right there, right? So it started here, and then it just kind of goes away. Interesting, not sure what it means. Joe Hanvey's going to have to work on that one a little bit. Again, the eclipses section, lots of videos in there to share with others. We don't, as I said yesterday, when Mark was doing question and answer, obfuscation is independent of replacement. Southern star rotation, that's another big one. Globers love looking up at the sky. My answer is I'm a flat earther, not a sky earther, because I can't measure the sky. You can always speculate what's in the sky. So if the earth is flat, then why do stars rotate in the opposite direction in the north and in the south? Again, a statement is fact when it's actually not the truth. Right? Here I am. This is using stellarium. We're looking south. And we're looking south, and let's bring it to nighttime. So we're looking north, my bad. Looking north, and we're in the northern hemisphere, we can see Polaris. The stars are rotating counterclockwise. Stars are rotating counterclockwise. So I'm not going to go to Australia, I'm just going to turn around. I'm going to turn around, and I'm going to face south. All right? As soon as I face south, we'll wait until the next night comes, and we'll look at the rotation of the stars. Now, I didn't go anywhere, and which way are the stars rotating? We'll take a look. The stars are rotating clockwise. So their claim is, in the north, the stars rotate counterclockwise, in the south, they rotate clockwise. When you're facing south, no matter where you are in the world, they rotate clockwise. When you're facing north, they rotate counterclockwise. So another false claim to prove the globe, and it doesn't prove anything. Here is I'm moving a dome through here, and we see these counter-rotating stars, kind of like when we do time lapses of the sky at the equator. This is what we see. So again, the optics of the sky do not prove the shape of the Earth. So they love to say, star trails, they make these beautiful circles, but this is what's really going on. We're spinning, we're whirling, we're twirling, we're vortexing through space, moving around in perfect clock-like motion. How did that happen? I couldn't tell you. And everything is moving, and all the other stars are moving. We would never see star trails like that. This is what star trails would look like if you did a time lapse. But this is what we see, and that shows that there's one motion, and that's the motion of the sky spinning above us. Here, these boats are out there, they're not moving, I'm moving, like the Earth, moving 4.5 billion miles a year, and the boats are changing position. So if those were stars, that's what we would see stars doing. They'd be constantly changing positions, but they never do. All the stars have been the same for all of recorded history. The big claim is the sun sets south of Capricorn, and that's hard to envision on the map. Steve Faulkner from Spacebusters, he did a great explanation of how that could happen, how we see, how the optics of the sky. I don't have time to show you that, but it's on the app. I'll show you where in a second. And this is what I think is going on in the south. We have our northern stars, and then the southern stars are a reflection of the northern stars. And so when we spin the center, the outer ones spin in the opposite direction. And no matter where you're looking all the way around, you still have that center circle of stars rotating, so you have an infinite number of points of southern star rotation. Think about that one, and that perfectly explains how we see counter-rotating stars in the southern hemisphere. Again, Steve's video is at the top of the southern stars and moon rotation section on the FAQ page of the app. Orbits are very magical. They're absolutely amazing. So try to wrap your mind around this. The Earth is spinning, it's going around the sun, and the moon is going around the Earth, right? But it's not one motion. It's got to speed up here, it's got to match the Earth's speed here, it's got to slow down here, and then it's got to speed up quickly or the Earth is going to run away from it. So imagine you're running around a car, right? The guy on the left, he's going to get run over, the guy in the back is going to get left in the dust. The two other guys are running at way different speeds. Have someone go outside and just ride a bike real slow and try to run circles around them. You're going to have to speed up, slow down, speed up, slow down. What is the mechanism that does that for the moon? And the answer is there isn't one. This is the hypersonic sledgehammer. You can't fathom what you just saw. That speed is unfathomable. It's Mach 8.6. Mach 8.6. Well, you have to imagine, if you're a globalist, that the Earth is a lumpy rock surrounded by water, surrounded by high pressure air, chased into a vacuum, and it's going around the sun 10 times faster than this. 10 times. Not twice as fast, 10 times. And it's also chasing the sun 100 times faster than this. And we don't feel anything. We can build rock structures that have no forces on them. Well, you know, if you're moving already, you don't notice it. Every one of those motions is a curved trajectory. When you turn, that's acceleration. That put forces on things, and things like this would actually be completely and totally impossible if the Earth moved at all. Right? The Earth is, the solar system is just spinning and whirling and twirling, and gravity's holding it together beautifully, and nothing ever changes, and we can set our clocks by it because the sky is a clock. That's how clocks are made, based on the sky time. But none of the gravities ever bother each other. Jupiter doesn't tug on the Earth. The sun can hold on to Pluto, but can't affect our moon. It's completely ridiculous, right? So the three-body problem, here's 4 equal masses, equally spaced, couldn't be more organized, set it up to not fail. But the gravity will start pulling on each other. This is called the three-body problem, because with 3 bodies the same thing happens, let alone the number that are in our solar system and galaxy. And once they start pulling on each other, it goes into what I call chaos mode. And no one can figure out, no supercomputer can figure out what's going to happen next. And you know, this is what our orbits would look like. We would never be able to predict anything. We'd all be dead, right? None of this could ever work. The astronomical clock in Prague, this guy did a great video on it. Let's hear what he has to say. It's about 90 seconds.
This is the last Arcturian clock that still works to this day and is 100% evidence that our ancestors knew the Earth was flat and stationary. Now, I want you to watch till the end, because this is going to blow your mind. This is the Prague astronomical clock, and it is perfectly synchronized with true astrology from our flat stationary Earth, just like all of our ancestors told us. Now, this clock perfectly tracks sidereal time, solar time, moon phases, the position of celestial body, and even zodiac signs, all in perfect synchronization, all without any electricity or satellite calibration. Now, the clock's designed encodes a geocentric model, placing the Earth at the center with celestial bodies moving around it in perfect, predictable cycles. So how would this clock perfectly predict, to this day, perfect planetary alignments, eclipses, and even zodiac transits? The Earth was spinning at 1,000 miles per hour, orbiting the sun at 66,000 miles per hour, hurtling through space at millions of miles per hour. It would be impossible to to predict these things. All of our ancestors told us that the stars are what move above us and that we are stationary. It's like the Egyptian depiction of the Earth. We have a flat, stationary Earth and the stars on the firmament. I want you to take notice of the middle part of this clock. This is the moon map, which is the real map of the Earth. Quite literally, the flat Earth map, guys. And recently, they destroyed this by putting a globe on this clock. Literally how they cover up the real origins of humanity and our true history. An absolute disgrace this is. This clock is built on the fact that stars rise and set in repeatable patterns, that the heavenly bodies move above us, observable for centuries and centuries. This is why if you point a camera at Polaris, which is the North Star, which doesn't move, it stays fixed and stationary 24/7, 365 days of the year in the night sky, it doesn't move. The stars around it do perfect circles constantly. Again, not possible if we're spinning, also orbiting the fucking sun, and hurling through space. You can see the stars do all sorts of crazy patterns. You just need to think about it. That's all you need to do. Astrology only works as perfect as it does because the stars are what move in perfect cycles. And literally all of our ancestors knew this. All of them. You guys believe NASA, which in Hebrew means to deceive. Like, it's insane. So brainwashed. These astronomers had no computers, yet they predict eclipses, planetary returns, solstices, and even retrogrades with shocking accuracy that still works to this day. This has been running for over 600 years, and probably more than that. Do not build a cosmic machine like this unless you know the divine order of this universe. This clock is a witness of truth, standing for centuries in a quiet defiance of the heliocentric lie. And the stars tell the exact same story every single night. If we were moving, the story would change, but it never does. We look within for the real answers. Peace and love.
Why would they change that clock to a globe unless they're desperately trying to hide all evidence of the past? Flight times, the big one. Hey, Santiago to Australia, how does that equal the same amount of time as California to Spain, which is half the distance? Well, take a look at these guys. These guys on the left here, they're going from Santiago to Australia, and the guys on the right, they're going from California to Spain. So we have air currents in the sky that move just like this, and airplanes are going faster. They both feel like they're walking at the same speed, but the guys on the left are going to go much farther in the same amount of time as the guys on the right. So we look at the wind map of the world. We have those peak winds are 200 to 300 miles an hour. And at different altitudes, they have there's different currents. So they know exactly where these winds are. They go in all different directions. They put these flights inside those wind currents to get them at their time. Now, the argument that Globers will make is airplanes. They worry about fuel and they take the most effective path. There used to be a ton of airplane companies. Now there's like 6 big ones, or they're narrowed it down. It's all controlled. It's all to keep us, believing in all of their nonsense. So again, it's the same in the waters too. The waters are spinning in different directions. So this is a quick demonstration. We got a magnet, and we put some water in it, and we add some current to the outside and the opposite in the center. Pour some water in there, put some pepper in there so you can see what it's doing, and we have these counter-rotating vortices. Everything is electric. You're electric. The air is electric. Everything is electric, and these electric forces are what makes the world go round. Look at that. So airplanes, different heights, different altitudes, get different jet streams, and they can get anywhere they want. A couple southern flight routes going from South Africa to the west side of Australia. On a globe, it's absolutely ridiculous. They go all the way up to Dubai, Hong Kong, and Malaysia. When on flat Earth, it makes a lot more sense on the routes that they take. Now, this one here, from California to somewhere over near Europe, it touches all of the same land masses. Look at this one carefully. So it goes over Newfoundland, Greenland, it's touching the same land masses. Now, the Globers will say that we just took their map and made it flat, and we say, no, they took our flat map and wrapped it around the globe. So which one is it? Well, this flight route tells you which one it is. Going from New Zealand to Argentina on a globe, the fastest trip is right here. That's what FlightAware says, that's what reality tells us, that's what, that's the shortest trip. But it goes all the way up over the equator to San Francisco, to Houston, Texas, then back down. But on a flat Earth, it's a straight line. This one tells you which map is right and which map is utterly ridiculous. Again, you want to see all these Southern flights in the images section, just type in Southern flights, you can select up to 5 images and send them to your global friends and say, explain this. Right? Faking space and other nonsense, right? It's just a coincidence that NASA's logo is a snake tongue. That's just not ridiculous. Planet 9 on the horizon. Scientists believe new observatory could soon spot newest member of our solar system, more than 1 billion light years away. 1 billion light years. You can't fathom what that is. Pluto, 3.7 billion miles, which is 5.5 light hours. You can't see it. 5.5 light hours, you can't see it. And Pluto happened to have the shape of Pluto the dog, right, on it. So, yes, they were created the same year. You could say that Disney was inspired by it and named the dog Pluto, or vice versa. Cool story. But that would be like them back in, when they discovered it, 100 years ago. Hey, they discovered a planet, we're going to call it the Tesla Roadster planet. And then, in the early 2000s, they get a good picture of the planet, and there's a Tesla Roadster desert shape on it. What are the chances of that happening? So again, it's right in front of our faces. So they're telling us there's a possible planet is 10 light hours away. 3.7 billion miles, 5.5 light years is Pluto. Can't see either one of them. But there's a black hole 1 billion light years away. Not 1 billion light hours, 1 billion light years. And 1 light year is 5.8 trillion miles, and 8.76 trillion light hours, right? These numbers just make your mind melt. They absolutely make no sense whatsoever. And of course we can see it. So they just tell you stories. The Hubble, this is just last year, they said they saw a planet, they saw a galaxy 13.4 billion light years away. 1 light year is 5.8 trillion miles. When we ask them to zoom in on the moon, they say they can't. Right? The moon is 24.8 million times farther than 1 light year. 24.8 million times farther. Right? But this thing that they're seeing in the sky, you have to take that 24.8 million and times it by 13.4 billion. Again, your brain just melts. We don't know how to handle these numbers because these numbers are ridiculous. And they can't zoom in. Here's a shot from space looking down. We can see that this solar panel, or whatever the hell this piece of plastic is lit. The top is lit. The Earth is lit. Where's the moon? Why isn't the moon lit? Where's the moon? This is from NASA. There's no moon. Right? Science fiction, blatant fraud. Right? And we can do this on our own computers now. We don't even need them. How did the moon become a sphere? Well, gravity did it. Something hit the Earth, a chunk of Earth went in the sky, and the gravity pulled it into a sphere. Cool, right? So here's some ChatGPT info. It would take about 17 of all of the oceans of the world to fill the moon if it was hollow. Okay, right? And the water is about 80% of the density of Earth, of the moon, allegedly. And so if we took that number, times it, plus 20% more, 21 world oceans would have the same gravity as the moon. And would it form a ball? Right? Would that be enough water to form a ball? What about 1 million times that amount of water? Would that be enough to form a ball? How about 1 billion? How about 1 trillion? 1 trillion, we can't even fathom it. And the answer is yes, trillions of times over. But NASA wants to tell us that they found water in space that's equivalent to 140 trillion times all of the water on Earth, and it's flat. Anybody? I mean, if you don't object to this, if you don't say bull crap, you're agreeing. You're literally giving your consent. International Space Station, can it power itself? I'll be wrapping up in just a minute. These solar panels need to power the AC, the heating, and everything else on there. Has a huge draw on it. I was in the solar power business. There's zero chance that those panels, brand new, could do any of that. Right? Every 45 minutes, for another 45 minutes, it's in darkness. It doesn't have any power. So now all of that load has to switch to the lithium-ion batteries. On day one, this would fail. Everybody would be dead. In real life, solar panels degrade faster in space due to radiation, micrometeors, thermal cycling. Yet NASA says still after 25 years that they're still working perfectly. Another impossibility. I'm calling bullshit, right? Oops, speaking of bullshit. Oh, more bullshit, more bullshit. All right, if you want to find out about that bullshit, you can go to stoplookthink.com. Some more bullshit, all right? Again, you know, on the moon, the 33,000-pound moon lander can't leave an indent in the soft, fine, dry powder, but a 172-pound astronaut that weighs less on the moon can leave a perfect footprint. Again, if you can't understand how this would be an impossibility, I can't help you. They're on the moon, they have, or outside the space station, they have thermal swings from 500 degrees, 250 above Fahrenheit, above zero, 250 below, but when they come to Earth, they need a blanket over their spacesuit to stay warm. Again, they're mocking us. Look at this delicious sushi they had in space, amazing. But in the article, it says, the sushi was held down on the plate thanks to the weight of the condiments. Again, they're just testing to see who's going to believe this bullshit, right? Sorry for swearing. This is the latest Elon Musk rocket launch. You know how they land these rockets on these rafts out at sea magically? Here's a compilation. Look at the one on the left here. Why isn't the fire coming out of the engines? It's in between the engines, right? This is just CGI nonsense. Look at this thing tilting over. Like, where's the raft? Right, this thing's falling back down onto a spinning Earth through air currents, and it finds this raft in the middle of nowhere, right? Now watch carefully. One is going to show you that it's landing on the water. Like, where's the raft? You can see it's below the frame, right? Now it's below the smoke. Right? Where's the raft? What's it landing on? Again, if you believe this stuff, it's because you've been programmed and there's no helping you. But none of you believe it, I know that. Why would they lie? That's the question they all ask, and I asked it. You know, it's like when all of your seasons, boats over the horizons, airplane flights. Why the lie? Well, the answer is, how would I know? I'm not the one that's lying, but I do like to speculate on it. So one of the speculations is, they're hiding more land. They're hiding the fact that we're at the center of creation, right? So when you put yourself, on this limited space, we can't go to that white area because we'll disturb the penguins. That limits who you are and what this place is. Maybe they're hiding angels. This is what I think, right? So we're this little dot right here. This is us, and this is the sun. You think that's big? Well, they want you to believe that this thing goes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and you are nothing. These gas balls in a space vacuum violating natural law just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and we're nothing, right? They want you to believe that, right? The book of Job, 38:7, when the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God saluted for joy, this verse poetically describes creation as a kind of cosmic celebration. The morning stars, which some interpret as angelic beings or celestial lights, rejoicing alongside the Son of God. We've got Revelation, Isaiah, Judges, Daniel. Excuse me. The seven stars are the angels of the seven churches. The dragon's tail casts a third of the stars to earth, so those are fallen angels. Lucifer calling, O morning star who falls from heaven. The stars fought from heaven, interpreted as angelic hosts, and the horn cast down some of the stars, which are the holy beings. So, Ezekiel 1:15-21, in the book of Ezekiel, where the prophet describes his vision of the heavenly beings, a wheel in the middle of a wheel. I like that, because when we look at some of these stars, I'm seeing wheels inside of wheels. I'm seeing intelligence. I'm seeing something that affects us. As above, so below. I think that all of the celestial lights are our true self, and we're having a physical experience on this plane of inertia down here. So there is a correlation to what's going on in the sky. Our souls are in the sky. Excuse me. And we're having this physical experience, right? And if you listen to Crow 777 Radio and watch his videos on the sun, the sun looks to be consciousness. It looks to be the source of everything. If we look here, this is not a burning ball of gas in a natural law violating space vacuum. This is something beyond what we can even imagine. And, some people say that the sun is a portal. That's interesting. And, in the Bible it says that you can only get to heaven through the sun. That's interesting. So, and I'm not saying anything anti-religion or anything, but if everything is a mirror from the sky to the ground, if I'm a certain star, maybe the Star of David, who knows? I'm here having this physical experience, and I've been here many times before, possibly. Well, the sun, maybe it was here as Jesus, as Muhammad, as Buddha, as any other light, to bring light to earth. There's so many correlations. I find it fascinating to look into. We are incredible, spiritual, powerful, connected beings. They don't want us to know that. They want to limit our thoughts. They want to put us in a pen. They want to put us in a globe prison. The globe is a prison for your mind. It stops you from realizing your true position in this world, or true potential, and you're literally in a prison. So the truth is not something to keep for yourself. It's something you are required to share with the world. So my final statement here is we all need to do everything we can to help others to wake up. So I'm giving you this information. My life goal is to give you information to help you wake up other people. That's everything I want. I want you to wake up other people, and we need to start supporting each other however we can. And if you're not a video person, you don't want to talk to anybody, support people financially. For example, you can go over to the Strange World table. There's a QR code there for donations. Go give it a donate. Give it a little donation. Something. So that is all I have for today, and thank you very much.
Get tickets to this year's event at internationaltruthexpo.com.